Hi guys, Totallydubbed here, and today I'm doing a video review on the Skullcandy Crusher ANC headphones. Now these headphones can be found for around £250 in the UK and around $300 in the US. Links will be down in the description below in case you're interested, including its competitors, which I've got just two to name a few. For example, the Bose 700 headphones, which are more flagship ANC headphones, and then Plantronics Voyager headphones as well, which can be seen as more of a mid-range option, which is where the Crusher kind of sits in. So without further ado, let's get into this review. So first off, I'd like to talk about what you get in the box. You've got a set of manuals, and you've got a nice hard shell carrying case, which essentially allows you to store the headphones and take them on the go. Now there's a 3.5mm interconnect for using your auxiliary jack when you don't want to use Bluetooth, and a USB Type A to USB Type C cable for charging the headphones. Now the headphones, because of that USB Type C compatibility, support fast charging. Battery life is quoted at around 24 hours with ANC enabled, so just do bear that in mind. Now in terms of the headphones design, let's just quickly go through it. Now on the left hand side you've got a little button which is essentially used for toggling on or off ANC, and also to power on and or pair the headphones. It's pretty intuitive, but one thing I don't like about it is the fact that when you do toggle ANC on and off, what you'll find is that it does kind of like pause your music, or kind of has a voiceover which tells you, you know, ANC enabled, and that takes several seconds. I would have liked that to be completely disabled either through the app or actually, you know, via a button on the headphones themselves, and therefore not have to listen to that prompt each time. It might sound very finicky, but it's something that did kind of bother me when I was using these on a daily basis. Now the left cup, if you were to put your hand over it for 3 seconds, it enables ambient aware mode, which essentially allows you to hear your surroundings. Very useful, but yet again I would have liked it to be a little bit instantaneous, and or not have a voice prompt telling me ambient aware is enabled or disabled. Surely my ears should be able to pick that up. Now there's a slider over here which adjusts the bass, volume and amount. Pretty much the mid bass and sub bass is completely emphasized when you crank this all the way up, to the point where the headphones literally shake on the heads. I mean, I'm not even kidding, they do genuinely like vibrate on your head. I'm not making that as a joke. Now what I found, however, is to use it on literally the minimum volume. The reason why is because on the absolute zero you don't get that much extra bass impact, whilst if you put it just a little notch up you get a little bit of impact, which doesn't sacrifice the overall audio experience. So that's my personal suggestion, but obviously audio is subjective, so do as you will. Now moving on to the right hand side, you've got the USB Type-C ports for charging, the jack for auxiliary input, and then controls, so it's play, pause, you can access your voice assistant as well, volume up and down, and you can skip and previous your music. Now moving on to the headphones design itself, the headphones fold in, which is great to see, unlike the Bose headphones that I was showcasing before. They can't do this, so it's great to see it actually folds and does everything that you'd expect. The headphones clamp, however, is not perfect in my opinion. I personally wear glasses, so when I was wearing them at home and just, you know, doing my work on my PC, I felt that the clamp was a little bit too hard, which meant that it felt a little bit uncomfortable. If you don't wear glasses, I don't think you'll have a problem, but it's just worth bearing in mind. In terms of the cups themselves, or should I say the earpads diameter is relatively good. However, I would have liked it to be a little bit wider. Now I've got very large ears, so, you know, again, your mileage may vary, but in my case I found that it sat somewhat over and on ear, so just bear that in mind. The pads themselves are very soft, but they do spring back very quickly, which means that it's not really that comfortable to use for a long period of time. I found myself a lot more comfortable with the Bose headphones or the Plantronics that I just mentioned before. Of course, there's other headphones out there, such as the Sony WH-1000XM3s, which also have very soft pads, so something that Skullcandy could have improved. At the top you've got a nice soft headband, again very quick bounce back, but it does provide the extra comfort and sort of like a little airflow type of thing at the top, so that if you do sweat you're not going to have too many problems. The headphones adjustment is pretty large, so I wouldn't have any problem whatsoever with that. And in terms of the strength of the headphones, I have no issues either with that. Now it's built out of plastic and it doesn't look exactly like a premium looking headphone, but in all honesty I have no complaints whatsoever in terms of the build quality. It's also available in a few different colors, so obviously black, if it's not your cup of tea, then you can find something different. Now, what I'd like to mention over here, before moving on to the sound quality or recording quality section, or ANC shall I say, there's lots of sections, is Bluetooth. Now you can see right now it's trying to search for my phone. I think it's actually currently got it, so I'm not sure why it's actually flashing to say, hey, are you still available? But anyway, the headphones connect over Bluetooth. Now the Bluetooth connectivity is actually pretty good. It's got SBC, AAC, aptX and aptX HD codec, which is not something that all manufacturers can claim. Specifically, for example, Bose, which limits to AAC and SBC only. Therefore, the audio quality you're going to get over Bluetooth is pretty good in terms of the transmission quality, that is. Now moving on to range, I had no problems again using these for around 10 to 15 meters through walls, and also interacting with them over the buttons. So yet again, no problems whatsoever in terms of connectivity. There's no video lag either, which is great to see, but that's no surprise given it's using the Qualcomm chip inside. Finally, in terms of interacting with the headphones, they also have a tile integration as well. So if you launch up the tile app, you can then locate your headphones if you were to lose them. This is kind of limited, but is a useful feature, and some other manufacturers also provide this feature, which is nice to see, specifically at under £250. Now moving on from that, it's quite interesting because we're going to talk about the app. Now the app itself is pretty basic, but this part of the app, which is where you personalize the audio, is very, is almost key to the headphones. Now the headphone technology that's being used over here is done by Audiodo. Now I'll link down in the description below a link to their website, and all honesty, without trying to spoil the next part of the video, I do feel that the actual technology is probably the most interesting part of the entire headphones. So what you do is really simple. You go through it and you create different profiles. You can see I've just created one for myself. I deleted other ones before, but you create one for yourself, and then it goes through some audio cues. The audio cues then allow you to listen to different sort of frequencies, and then allows you to have your left and right ears tuned to kind of the same volume. See it in some ways as a personalized EQ of some sort, but one that actually has some sort of scientific background. By that I mean it's actually using your own ears versus you using software and kind of presuming what you'd want to EQ or not. Now the personalized sound can be on or off, but I can tell you that the personalized sound on makes a massive difference, and something that if you are listening to your music, you'll want to have the personalization on. I'll allude to this later in the sound quality section. Throughout the app as well, as I said before, it's pretty simple. As you can see, you can register your headphones or go to product help. Actually, the product help is pretty useful. I must applaud Skullcandy for that, but because the video tutorials are actually pretty thorough. So if you are wondering on how to use the headphones, then you'll find out very easily via those video tutorials. Other than that, it's terms and conditions, and as you can see, there's nothing else really other than the actual battery level of the headphones. So I just wanted to show you how it actually looks around the ears. So this is how the headphones look like. So you can see left and right shot of it, and a kind of straight on look of it. Now let's talk about the different, or should I say the performance elements of it, and it's broken down in 3 separate sections. First of all, recording quality, as in how the mics perform. Now the microphones are decent, they're not bad, they're better than the Plantronics, which was slightly surprising to see, but they're nowhere near as good as the Bose headphones, which essentially use some of the microphones that they use for noise cancellation in order to direct the voice coming straight from your mouth. So it's neither great or bad, it kind of sits in the middle. You will get slightly muffled sound, and if you're in a very noisy environment, you will hear a lot of environmental sound. So just bear that in mind if you're going to be taking calls with these headphones on. Now moving on from that, it is the ANC performance. Now this caused a lot of complications, and the reason I say that is simply because these had a lot of hissing noise. Now hissing noise is like a sound that you hear like that type of sound, almost like pink noise that you hear in the background. Now normally that's accustomed to cheaper ANC headphones or older ANC headphones, which really struggled at cancelling out sound and or providing a hiss-free sound. Unfortunately, that's not the case with the Skullcandy headphones. What I found is that even with ANC off, there was a hissing sound present. Even when it was not even paired on a Bluetooth device, the hissing sound would occur. And that to me was really distracting, specifically when a song starts up or ends. There's a slight little period where it's a quiet bit of the song. And in that respect, I found that these headphones were just a bit too distracting. Specifically when I was watching videos on YouTube, that hissing sound was slightly in the background. And with ANC enabled, that hissing sound increased about 3 to 4 times the volume. And it was very noticeable. And it's not something that I could say, yes, you will not hear it depending on the volume of music you hear. Now, I don't know why the case is because of this, because I asked Skullcandy, and Skullcandy commented saying, yes, that's normal, it's not a fault. Which is slightly worrying, because its competitors, even cheapo £100 Lindy BNX-60s or BNX-100s, don't have that issue. So, very disappointed on that front. But let's talk about the noise cancellation itself. You know, if this hissing sound is there, is that because the noise cancellation is very strong? Well, unfortunately not. Yet again, it was kind of overshadowed by its competitors. Now, bearing in mind these Bose headphones are way more expensive at £340, £330, but the QC35 Mark II can be found for around £260. The Sony WH-1000XM3, which are the best noise cancellation headphone technology and headphones on the market, can be found for around £250. And in this respect, these headphones simply couldn't compete. Even for headphones that haven't been reduced in price over the years, such as the Plantronics headphones, also surpassed the Skullcandy headphones in noise cancellation. What I found is that with low hum airplane noise, it did a decent job. Not great, but decent. But when it came for me listening to like rainfall, thunder, and or listening to people speaking, so there's like tests on YouTube that you can play back, so it was a very much controlled test, it wasn't something that was constantly changing. These headphones really struggled to cancel out the mid to high frequencies, at which point you could pretty much clearly hear people talking, but the kind of humming in the background was cancelled out. So for a set of £250 noise cancelling headphones, I very much was left disappointed. I expected a lot more from these. Put into perspective, a set of £100 to £150 noise cancelling headphones perform the same, if not better, because they don't have that hissing sound in the background. So noise cancellation wasn't impressive, and I must say I was very much left disappointed. But I can't finish the video there, because there is obviously another aspect of it, the audio side of it. Now, I told you about the personalisation, and that to me was one of its most interesting traits. So no offense to Skullcandy, but what Audiodo have done with the headphones actually works very well. The personalisation is a way of getting that sound that you want to hear, and Audiodo's kind of mentioned that there is a algorithm which takes place with a Bluetooth chip, and therefore allows you to get a custom tailored sound. Now, some people will see this as a glorified EQ. Some other people will say, hey, Nuraphone does something similar. And yes, they do. But it's a slightly different take on it, because it analyzes both ears and gives you a personalized sound per ear, rather than an overall personalized EQ that you'd expect. And again, it's not just a software or say hardware-based EQ, it is purely based on your ears. So if you do it on the sound profile on someone else, what you'll find is that the sound actually will change, and the perception of you listening to their sound profile will kind of differ from what you listen to. And that made it quite similar to what Nuraphone brought out a few years ago. So the technology was really cool, and it did improve the sound quality experience. It's not to say that without that technology the headphones sounded bad. They just sounded a little more flat, a little more neutral sounding, and a little less fun. And the instrument separation wasn't as open to a certain degree in comparison to the technology being enabled. So if you have the headphones, get the app, download that, do that little test, and you'll get much better sound quality. But in terms of the raw sound quality of the actual drivers themselves, tested on or off with the technology enabled, the personalized sound, I found these headphones were actually pretty impressive. They were better in terms of handling the upper mids versus the Bose headphones, and delivered a more tight and controlled mid-bass response over, let's say, the Plantronics or something like the Sony XM3 or XM2s. And that was pretty impressive, because it's not something I expected to hear and to kind of comment on with the Skullcandy headphones or the Skullcandy brand as such. So the audio quality has really was kind of surprising as how well it did. So going through the sound frequency range, the sub bass was there and obviously can be tailored to your liking via that little dial. That does adjust in mid bass as well, but you know, that sub bass rumble can get there, and it is literally rumble on around your head. The mid bass was pretty tight and controlled. I would have liked a little more impact, and that's not to do with the dial. I just would have liked a little bit more impact and quantity being produced. As I said, you can dial it to your liking, but then that does leak into the mid-range. So anyway, in terms of the mid-range, the lower mids felt a little bit recessed, and here's where the Bose headphones kind of came out on top when it came to that vocal sounds. The lower mids, also instruments, the lower mids came out just a little bit dipped and a little bit subdued, and that is also due to the mid-bass emphasis that the headphones have. In the upper mids, they were very impressive. I didn't have any problems. They didn't sound veiled or overemphasized. Whilst with the Bose headphones, you can feel that they do sound a little bit overemphasized in that respect, which, you know, will be good for some people's likings, but in my opinion, felt, you know, just about right with the Skullcandy headphones. The highs were a little bit sibilant, and I found this to be more the case when I had the personalization on versus off. I'm not sure why, it could be just because of my ears, but I found it a little bit more sibilant versus the other alternatives, which sounded a little bit more, not rounded off, but just sounded clear at the top end. But then, such as the Sony XM3s, they extend well, but then they don't give you that sibilant sound, whilst the Bose headphones don't extend that well, but still give you some sort of excitement in terms of your music. Hopefully I'm making sense. Anyway, moving on to the soundstage and the overall instrument separation, what I found over here was it's a somewhat in between. It doesn't quite have the beautiful instrument separation of the Bose headphones, where instrument separation is really well done, nor does it have the spaciousness and the width of, let's say, the Plantronics headphones, which was able to deliver a slightly deeper immersion because of that. But what it does do well is, in terms of width and depth, it does a decent job versus some of its competitors. So, for example, cheaper headphones out there, which will sound a little bit more closed, these headphones have kind of a midway between. They're not narrow, they're not wide, they somewhat sit in between, which isn't bad, but I would have just liked a little bit more. So overall, all I can say about this is that the headphones have a decent sound quality, which was really surprising for Skullcandy as a brand. Again, no offense to Skullcandy, but back in the day they weren't really well known for producing high audio quality gear, and for £250 I was pretty impressed, given the fact that you could even dial the bass up or down and literally feel shaking around your head. Meant it was quite a cool experience. But ultimately these headphones are let down. They're let down in the respect of the fact that the noise cancelling feature just doesn't work well, to the point where I would almost disable noise cancellation and use them as Bluetooth headphones altogether. But then if you're going to do that, then you can buy much cheaper headphones, or even wired headphones if you so wish, and get a much better sound quality experience, or a cheaper experience. So if you're looking for noise cancellation headphones at around £250, consider the Sony WH-1000XM3s instead of the Skullcandys. If you've really got an infinite budget, then again the XM3s are the best noise cancellation headphones. If you want the best designed headphones, get Bose NC 700s. If you want something that's kind of versatile and is useful for businesses, use the Plantronics headphones instead. And if you want something that's truly personalised and somewhat is similar to the technology, well, similar but a little bit different to what Audiodo are doing with these headphones, look into the Nuraphone headphones instead. So there we go. That's been my honest, unbiased, unpaid review. Thank you for Skullcandy for sending out these headphones. And if you've got any question about this review, or any question about the products, let me know in the comments below and I'll be sure to answer it. And again, as I said before, do check in the links in the description below, because you'll see all the alternatives that I've mentioned, including links if you so wish to buy them, and also some more information about the technology that's used within these Skullcandy headphones. Alright guys, I've been Totally Dubbed, take care and bye bye.